The final Ginetta race of the weekend, the season opening weekend here at Donington Park, is almost upon us. The Ginetta GT Academy with their third and final race on the Donington Park Grand Prix circuit. Had two races, two different winners so far. Charlie Digby and Jamie Cordell have shared the first and second steps of the podium between themselves. Who will come out on top in our third race of the weekend? The track temperature much warmer now than it was when the cars were last on track this morning. Well into the 20s, the ambient temperatures nicely in the middle teens, and perfect track conditions really for good hard racing. Jamie Cordell and Charlie Digby then together on the front row. They are your two race-winning drivers so far this weekend, and as a result of that, as you'd imagine, they're pretty close in the championship. Not actually tied on championship points, 2 points between them, because Charlie Digby has managed to pick up the fastest lap in race one and was on pole position, both of which are worth a bonus point. It was actually James Nicholas who set the fastest lap in race two as he chased them both home. Now, Nicholas had an interesting race earlier on this morning because he only broke into that third place. I think it was a couple of laps from home, but once he got into third, he looked quicker than the two ahead and was gaining on them quite rapidly. So it'll be interesting to see now in race number three, starting on the second row of the grid, whether James is able to go and challenge for a maiden victory of the season. James was a winner in this championship on the opening weekend in 2024 and would like to continue that trend into 2025. Grid then about to be cleared, and we should hopefully have all 19 of them out there. We lost a couple in the race earlier on today. Louis Darling, Mike West and Paul Livesey all ended up out. We also had penalties, or disqualifications actually, for Joe Edge and Lucy Hodgson, and they, I believe, were disqualified for not complying with yellow flag signals. Now that's a pretty clear-cut thing, and it's one of the most important on-track regulations for the drivers to follow. So a severe penalty, full disqualification from the race, but rightly so, really, because the safety of the marshals and any drivers who have been involved in incidents must be the priority. And of course, a disqualification can't be used as a dropped score either. So for Joe Edge in the rookie class, Lucy Hodgson in the GTA class, that is going to be fairly significant when we get to the end of the season. Far too early, though, to be thinking about drop scores just yet. This is just the first event of the season. The final race of that first event, only a few minutes away. The cars released then onto the green flag lap, and Jamie Cordell looking to try and make it 2 from 2 today. He missed out on yesterday's race victory only by just under 2 seconds at the flag. He was being chased down in that one by Alex Deaton. Deaton ended up 4th in race 2, 3rd in the first race yesterday, the Paradigm by Zentech prepared car. And he will also be one to watch, I suspect, in this third and final race. Cars then on the green flag lap, and in a moment or two we can take a look at how they will line up for this third and final race of the weekend. Jamie Cordell and Charlie Digby share the front row. James Nicholas and Alex Deaton on row 2, and the race win really could come from any one of those four. Shiv Sapra's had good pace on occasion this weekend. He shares row 3 with the reigning champ, Julian Wantling, with Sam Shrimpton, the Palmer Sports Scholarship winner for 2025, starting 7th alongside Nick Ponting. Robin Grimwood and Alan Wright are together on row number 5. The 6th row then for Phil McGarty, who had a spin at the chicane earlier on, and Damien Duffy completing the top dozen. Then it's Ben Cook and Peter Thompson. Louis Darling, he's had a trying weekend, I think it's fair to say. 2 races, 2 non-finishes. He will be doing his best to change that fortune from 15th on the grid alongside Mike West. Paul Livesey and Joe Edge are next. Joe Edge, the first of those drivers, disqualified from the race earlier on, as was Lucy Hodgson, who also had a spin at the Melbourne Loop. So it wasn't a great morning for Lucy. She'll be hoping to bounce back in race number 3. Lucy Hodgson, who, as her day job, owns a holiday park in North Wales. It's only her 2nd season of racing, but she showed some good pace this weekend so far. And Lucy was hopeful, I'm sure, going into today that she could build upon the promising speed yesterday, but having to do so from the back of the grid now in race number 3. Onboard camera then with Charlie Digby, starting from the outside, as it will be, of row 1, the number 14 car. Now, the outside into turn 1 is not always a bad place to be. You can try and get that run off the corner and maybe challenge down the Craner curves. Jamie Cordell will be well aware of that, though, and will want to try and position his car in such a way that that exit speed doesn't come for Charlie Digby. course, the danger with being on the outside is if anyone else decides to make it 3 wide on the inside line, that can end in the car on the outside being shuffled out of line. And this being the final race of the weekend, they're all going to be keen to get some track position early because it's a very evenly matched bunch, this front group of drivers. Once the race settles down, it won't be easy to find a way past. And so the first corner presents a good opportunity to get that job done nice and early. Through the final turn then, Digby on our right, as it will be, as he heads towards the first corner. Caudle on the inside line. It's a rolling start for the Ginetta GT Academy. Their third race of the weekend gets underway. Pretty even start from both of the front row men, you'd have to say. Is there a challenge from James Nicholas to the inside of both of them? There's an inviting gap left, but he's not late enough on the brakes. Very late on the brakes is Digby to the outside. Can he make it stick? No, runs out of grip, almost runs out of road completely, and Caudle will get his nose back ahead as they drop through Hollywood and into the Craner curves for the first time. Has Caudle cleared Digby? Answer, no, not yet. They're still side by side, but Caudle has the inside line for the old hairpin. That should give him the lead. Yes, it does. Nicholas slides through into third position, so it's as you were across the top 3 or 4. Only the top 3, actually, because that is, I think, Nick Ponting up into 4th position. Nick Ponting started 8th. How's he got there? 8th to 4th in the first couple of corners. Great stuff from the driver of car number 7. They head towards McLean's corner for the first time. Sam Shrimpton there, the Palmer Sport Union flag liveried car, with his best starting position of the weekend. He has raced much better than he qualified so far through the first 2 races, and the grid for this third one is based upon the result from race 2, so he's got a real chance, I think, of breaking into the top half dozen or so. Inside the top half dozen, albeit at the back of it, is this side-by-side fight for 6th place. Julian Wantling going toe-to-toe with Shiv Sapra. Shiv Sapra getting the better of the reigning champion and moving into 6th place. Alex Deaton is there in 7th position. He's gone backwards, hasn't he, from 4th on the grid. So he and Nick Ponting sort of reversing fortunes on that opening lap as they descend upon the Melbourne hairpin. There's contact between Wantling and Sapra as Julian goes back through. That will open the door now, I think, for Alex Deaton to take advantage. It's also side-by-side for the lead, though. A much better run through Melbourne for Digby. He is back alongside Jamie Caudle for the 2nd time on this opening lap. But as was the case through the first few corners, Caudle is able to see off the challenge. They are almost nose to tail, though, as they cross the timing line to begin lap number 2. Less than a car's length in it, and Caudle may feel the need to defend into Redgate. Yes, he does. Hold the middle ground. So again, Digby takes the wide line in and tries to wriggle up the inside on corner exit. We'll see in a moment whether that was successful. At the inside there goes the 25 car of Louis Darling, making a nice move on Robin Grimwood, who's got nowhere to go but the exit curb, and will surely have to yield that position as they drop downhill. He's not yielding just yet, though, and they were door handle to door handle as they went through the right-hander, and the same is true through the left at the Craner curves. Now the road comes back to Darling, and he's got the inside line for the old hairpin. Good side-by-side racing through the early stages. Everyone surviving the first lap and a half or so. It's very tight at the front, and as I thought would be the case, James Nicholas very much going with those leading 2 now. So Caudle, Digby, Nicholas, that's your leading trio. Can James Nicholas get himself a race victory? He's got 2 very tough drivers to overtake if that's going to happen. His best bet might be if those 2 get tangled together. That could open the door for the 3rd place man, and it doesn't even have to be a literal tangling together. No contact has to be involved, but just 2 cars running side by side around here will hold themselves up so much that the 3rd place car is usually in the best position. For now, though, they're single file as they drop down into the Melbourne hairpin, onto the brakes. Really late lunge up the inside from Digby from a long way back. He gets the car stopped. They're both wide, and this could be the opportunity Nicholas was waiting for. Caudle is sideways. James Nicholas, I think, is 2nd and might have an overlap against the new race leader, Charlie Digby. No, not quite, but Digby goes to the lead. Caudle now tries to retaliate, but can't get there. So Digby to the lead. Nicholas goes 2nd. Exactly what I was saying. As soon as the leading 2 got side by side, that was the chance that James Nicholas needed to at least steal one of those positions, and very nearly both of them. Caudle won't be happy with that, though. He's trying to retaliate into Redgate corner, nips back to the inside of James, who has no choice but to leave a car's width on the apex. They're side by side off the corner, and this is music to the ears of the race leader Charlie Digby, who was only half a second ahead at the line. He's doubled that just through Redgate corner alone, I would say, as the 2 cars pursuing him went side by side. Caudle did go back through, though, and so Caudle now sets off after the race leader once again. Again, though, good racing, squeaky clean between the 3 of them there. And Jamie Caudle just left the door open. He didn't think that Digby was close enough, but neither did I, really. But Digby got the car stopped just about, got to the inside line, And sometimes you can be too close to another car into a braking zone. If you're hunkered up behind them, they know the attack is coming and they will inevitably defend. Caudle snatching a break there into Coppice. That's an odd thing to see, although these GT Academy cars don't have anything in the way of driver aids, so it is easier to lock a brake in these cars than some others. And over the top of the hill at Coppice there, the car goes light, the front engine, aren't they? So they rely on that weight over the front axle to keep the front end gripping. Over the blind crest into Coppice, the front goes light, and I think he just snatched the unweighted right front wheel. Doesn't feel the need to defend the inside line into the Melbourne hairpin, though. Here comes Sam Shrimpton, meanwhile. He's got himself in between the cars of Deaton and Sapra. So Shrimpton into 7th place, but the fact that he's ahead of Shiv Sapra means that he's now leading the rookie class. So Sam Shrimpton, he was ahead actually at the start of the lap. He's now trying to get past the other of those black and red Zentek Motorsport machines. He almost got it done there in Goddard's, but Alex Deaton, having none of it, closes the door and keeps hold of the position for now. So, quarter of the way or so through the race, and James Nicholas with an earlier apex at Redgate Corner. Has he scared Jamie Caudle out of the way? No, not quite. Caudle just had enough momentum from the wide line into the turn to keep hold of the place down the hill. But every time they do this, every time they go side by side, Digby gets further away. He's also just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:43.231, and is now nearly 1.4 seconds ahead, or was at the line. That's probably increased again with the side-by-side battling going on behind him. James Nicholas, one of only a handful of drivers still running in the position in which he started. He won't be happy about that stat. He'd rather be moving forward. He was second, briefly. Off goes Robin Grimwood. Rejoining is Robin Grimwood from a spin at the old hairpin. Got to be careful picking your moment to rejoin there. Grimwood was running pretty well, actually, inside the top 10. But he had a top 10, yes, he'd been 10th in both of the earlier races, actually, so a very consistent weekend for Robin, but that consistency seemingly will come to an end in the third race. Through the chicane comes the second-placed Squabble. Are we going to see another move, this time maybe from James Nicholas? He's thinking about it, look. That's what Digby did to Caudle a handful of laps ago. But James Nicholas not quite late enough on the brakes to make the move stick. See a replay of what happened to Robin Grimwood. Oh, was that contact maybe with the, was that the 31 of Livesey? I think it was, wasn't it? Who was behind Robin at the start of the lap. Hard to tell from that angle if there was contact, but they were very close to each other, and the way Grimwood's car snapped sideways would suggest some outside assistance, but we won't pass judgment because we couldn't quite see from that angle. Anyway, the end result is that Robin Grimwood has plummeted down the order. We'll find out in a moment. That lost him, certainly in the top 10 no longer. Shiv Sapra there in 8th position. Every time we cut to Shiv, he seems to be in the middle of a battle or having a little moment. He's got the novice cross on the back of the car. He is entered into the rookie category. Very inexperienced driver. So netted a top 5 finish in race 2 early. He is looking still for his first top 5 of the weekend. Weekend that's got steadily better with each race, actually. Ponting 9th yesterday, 8th race 2, now into 4th. Louis Darling, meanwhile, what's he been getting up to? Big slide through the chicane, and then the car loads up over the curb and sort of rotates back the other way. That was quite nicely done, really. Lost a little bit of time, maybe, but could have lost a lot more had the car not flicked back to the right when it did. Good car control, and again, brilliant super slow-mo footage down at the Fogarty S's. Exiting the Fogarty S's rather poorly that time was Jamie Caudle, and this time Nicholas has no choice but to go for it. Jinks from the outside to the inside, tries to park the car on the apex, doesn't really succeed in doing so though, and runs so wide he's almost back in the assembly area. That's wide enough surely to open the door for Caudle, who does break back through into second. So that's twice now Nicholas has been ahead of Caudle, and twice Caudle's been able to find a way back through. They almost converge on the apex at Goddard's. And again, Caudle stays ahead. There's a few corners where Nicholas seems to like that earlier turn in, that tighter sort of earlier apex. And with Caudle taking the wider sweeping lines, they sort of meet in the middle sometimes. They've got dangerously close to contact on a few occasions, but they've kept it clean so far. 11 minutes to go, so still more than half the race left for James Nicholas to try and find a way through the defences of Jamie Caudle. increasingly less likely to make that a double, because these two are 2.6 seconds actually behind the race leader Charlie Digby. There on the timing tower is confirmation of what that gap was. Than the leader in sector 1. Oh, the inside from a long down here. He's on the outside at Coppice Corner. Can he hang tough on the outside? The answer is no. And so James Nicholas gets through again, shuts the door decisively this time on corner exit. But twice he's made a move on Jamie Caudle, only to be overtaken again fairly soon after. Caudle would like to make that a hat-trick. He's not able to do it into the chicane, though, and if Nicholas gets a good run through here, he should be out of striking range by the time they reach the Melbourne hairpin. So Nicholas does get a good run through the chicane, doesn't have to defend at Melbourne, and now can get his head down and try to escape. He had a little look into the mirror there, didn't he, just as he was about to turn in case Caudle had decided to go for a move. A lot of dust, was that who's been off maybe in Melbourne? He's the only car up the road from these two. And that will be an encouraging sign for James Nicholas if Charlie Digby's making an error or two. Let's see what the gap is then. It was 3.5 seconds at the line. It's 2.9. So yeah, Digby must have had a moment there at the Melbourne hairpin. And he was still fractionally quicker than James Nicholas on that lap, but Nicholas had lost quite a bit of time, half a second or so, in the process of overtaking Caudle. That half a second. So 2.9, let's call that 3 seconds the starting point. Let's see whether in the remaining 9 minutes or so, James Nicholas might be able to do something about the race leader. Big group of cars heading towards Redgate Corner here, led by Ben Cook, the number who is his nearest rookie rival, now getting on for 3 seconds behind. So Sam Shrimpton is dominating in rookie class in this one. As here comes Jamie Caudle back at James Nicholas. He just won't this second position again. Caudle gets a little bit too eager on the loud pedal out of the Melbourne hairpin. Not the first time we've seen him do that. Again, peaks to the inside at Goddard's. There's no way by. James Nicholas desperately wants to make sure he keeps this second place this time around. He's not been able to escape. He is not catching the leader, that's for sure. He was 1.3 seconds quicker than the leader that time, and he's not going to be catching now either because he's having to defend again into Redgate Corner. Caudle outside on the way in, inside on the way out. He's carried a mile an hour or so extra momentum off the corner, but Nicholas chops across his bows and gets to the right-hand side of the road for the shorter route through Hollywood, then crowds over to the left to defend the inside line through the Craner curves. But Jamie Caudle will be very pleased with the fact that Nicholas, having finally got through, is not disappearing up the road. And that means Jamie's got a chance here to get back into that second spot. The hill towards McLean's they go. And into the right-hander with James Nicholas mirror driving now, really. You'd have to say any thoughts of going after the race win surely have gone, barring a safety car or an issue for Digby anyway. He just needs to focus on hanging on to this second place. He's gapped Caudle slightly out of the lap as they head for the exhibition straight. Caudle with no real chance of forcing a defensive manoeuvre out of Nicholas into the Fogarty S's. Nick Ponting, remember, is still in fourth place, bit of a lonely fourth place. He's getting away from Julian Wantling behind him, but not catching the two cars on your screen who are next in front of him. There is Ponting in the background. Chasing him, Alex Deaton, who's got himself to the front of the next route. Then Julian Wantling versus Sam Shrimpton. So Sam Shrimpton, the rookie leader, now looking to try and claim a few GTA class scalps. Takes the wide line into the Melbourne hairpin, does the Palmer Sport Scholarship winner. Not quite able to drag alongside Julian Wantling all the way up the hill. There is a gap, though, on the inside at Goddard's, and Sam Shrimpton is only too happy to fill that gap. They almost banged doors, but they kept it clean, and Wantling retains the advantage, I think, here across the line. They're almost level, but Wantling's got the inside line, the preferred line, into Redgate. don't see Sam Shrimpton making the move. Oh, there's a big bit of contact between them going into the corner as they sort of converged lines in the braking zone. Wantling ends up way up the curb on the exit, and Shrimpton has actually got back to the inside of him. So that little bit of contact disturbed Wantling's car more than Shrimpton's, I think, and Sam will go by. Wantling, a pretty experienced racer by this point, and he knows when to pick his battles, who to pick them with, and the fact that Shrimpton is not in his class will no doubt have factored into Julian Wantling not putting up too much of a fight there, certainly after the little collision at Redgate. Shiv Sapra would have been watching that unfold in the distance, thinking, oh yeah, go on, hold each other up, take each other off, that could hand me the rookie class win, but not quite worked out that way for him just yet. Shiv still though, second in class, as he had a class podium yet. I feel like he had not finished yesterday, and yes, was the rookie winner, of course, in race 2 earlier on today. Looks as though he's going to be one step lower on the class podium in race number 3, though, although we still have nearly a quarter of the race to go, so plenty can still happen. Through the chicane goes Sapra's Zentek prepared car. Drops down towards the Melbourne hairpin. Can Sam Shrimpton now go after the other Zentek machine of Alex Deaton, I wonder? Deaton in 5th position. Jamie Cordle is still giving James Nicholas a hard time. The lead gap, by the way, came down by quite a chunk on the previous lap, and again on this lap. So in the last 2 laps, James Nicholas has taken about a second out of Charlie Digby. 3.4 seconds now the margin, but personal best laps for Nicholas and Cordle that time, whereas Digby's lap was 8/10 slower than his best. So has Digby asked a little bit too much of the tyres, maybe? We mentioned that track temperature earlier on, 22, 23 degrees. That's reasonably high by UK standards anyway. And if he's really been abusing the tyres, that might be enough to just bring James Nicholas and Jamie Cordle back into it if they don't trip over each other. They've got to work together a bit here. Nicholas, though, in fairness, has broken a little bit further ahead of Cordle than he has been so far, assisted by Cordle missing the apex there at McLean's too. So James Nicholas starting to get into more of a rhythm. He was half a tenth slower than the leader that time through Sector 1. But the middle sector, the final sector with the traction zones out of the low-speed corners, that's where tyre management will be key. If you've looked after the rear tyres, you'll get through and out of the hairpins much more quickly. It's a personal best in the middle sector for Nicholas, but it's a good lap being put in by Digby, in fairness. Personal best in Sector 1, half a tenth or so quicker than Nicholas in Sector 2. So Digby responding to the threat from James Nicholas, who came on really strong in the latter part of this morning's race too, but just got into 3rd place as it was at the time. A little bit too late. He's on the dirt now out of the Melbourne hairpin. That's a sign of how hard he was pushing, but be careful, James, that you don't end up throwing away 2nd place. He's got dirt on the tyres now as they approach Goddard's, and Jamie Cordle is right back within striking distance. So a little mistake there for Nicholas. He's got a bit of grass in the grille, but more than half of the grille is clear, so I don't think that will lead to any overheating issues. We've got time for just 2 more laps then in what has been an enthralling 3rd Ginetta GT Academy race of the weekend. And the battle that we're focusing on, very much so, is the fight for 2nd place. It's been a race-long scrap, really, between these two. Cordle was ahead for much of the first half of the race. Once Nicholas got through, he's held on to the place pretty securely, though. Phil McGarty here is scrapping away further back with Louis Darling and with the 63 car, I think that was, wasn't it? A Ben Cook, yes it was. And Ben was the one running a bit wide over the exit curb there at the final corner. Into Redgate they head. Phil McGarty closes in on Louis Darling ahead. Louis Darling at least is on course for a race finish, touch wood, in this 3rd race. He won't thank me for saying that, but he's got clean air in front of him. He does have Phil McGarty behind, though, and Phil McGarty is not usually backwards in coming forwards, so I'm sure there are other drivers that Louis would prefer to have in his mirrors, but Phil McGarty, a proper racer, a few years into his Ginetta racing experience as well now, and has learnt with every season that he's done. Phil closing in noticeably there as they climb up the hill towards McLean's corner, so this battle is not over yet. Neither is the one for 2nd place. James Nicholas defending once again into the Melbourne hairpin. I think he's figured out that defensive move at Melbourne. You can run wide on the exit, that's absolutely fine, because that just gifts you the inside line into Goddard. Interestingly, though, he doesn't go all the way to the inside to cover, just the middle of the road. Wondered whether Cordle might be tempted into a late lunge to the our right, his left, but it didn't come. They begin the final lap of the race then, And for Charlie Digby, it's looking good for the race victory. Who, though, will be in second place? Is Caudle going to try the inside? No, commits to the outside at Redgate Corner. And James Nicholas will sort of shuffle him out as wide as he can on the way in to scupper any chances of a switchback on the exit, which he did quite nicely there. Good car positioning from Nicholas. Didn't over-defend, didn't give Caudle the freedom to sweep across from the outside lane to the inside on corner exit, though he does have to defend us, Nicholas, into the old hairpin. That's not a good place to be defending because you lose all of your momentum out of the corner. It's quite a steep and a very long climb now through Starkey's and Schwann's curve. They're almost touching up the hill, but Nicholas hangs on. Will he defend into McLean's? He has no choice, surely. So Caudle to the outside. Nicholas needs to park the car on the apex, which he does. And again, James Nicholas, you wouldn't believe this was only the start of his second ever season of racing. He'd done no racing before he won the scholarship a year ago. And here he is, once again, showing us some brilliant racecraft, defensive racecraft, which I think is often overlooked, actually. We often applaud really good overtakes and really aggressive attacking drivers, but there's a real skill to defending without actually messing your line and losing momentum and then handing the place up at the next corner, and he's executing that perfectly in this one. A mistake actually comes from Caudle this time at the chicane. And I don't think, therefore, he's going to be close enough to attack into the Melbourne hairpin. No, he's not. So James Nicholas just needs to get out of this corner well and cleanly through Goddard, and he's home free for second place. Charlie Digby, though, is going to claim his second win of the weekend. He played second fiddle to Jamie Caudle this morning, but now he's back to winning ways. Charlie Digby will win the third Ginetta GT Academy race of the weekend. James Nicholas, what a race that was between Nicholas and Caudle. Fantastic driving from the pair of them, and it's James Nicholas who comes home second, with Jamie Caudle rounding out the podium places. For Sam Shrimpton, meanwhile, it is going to be a second rookie class victory of the weekend, and he will leave Donington Park as the class championship leader because he had a second place earlier on this morning as well. A very consistent and very promising debut weekend for this year's Palmer Sports Scholarship winner. The rest of them filing through behind. Shiv Sapra was the second of the rookies, and Louis Darling should, if he makes the checkered flag anyway, be third in the rookie class. But Charlie Digby, the race winner, in the end by 4.6 seconds. I do feel that if Nicholas and Caudle had stuck with him initially rather than battling, they might have given him a run for his money there towards the end, but they did battle. Digby didn't put a foot wrong and was able to escape up the road. Sam Shrimpton will be pleased with a second class victory as well. And I wonder whether we'll see Sam fighting for overall victories before the season is over. We often see, don't we, with drivers who are brand new to car racing, the rate of improvement that they show over the first half of their debut season is usually pretty exaggerated. So by the midway point of the year, I think he's going to be right up there. Drivers then tore back to the pit lane after a hard weekend's work, and Charlie Digby still celebrating as he heads down the exhibition straight. He is very pleased with that, and would have been a bit frustrated, I'm sure, to have missed out on the win earlier on today by only 0.2 of a second as well. He closed right in on Jamie Caudle at the end, so very nearly got the hat-trick. He has to settle for just the 2 wins, but it's still been a really positive weekend for Charlie Digby, who will leave Donington as the early season championship leader. James Nicholas in second place, and Jamie Caudle third in that third race of the weekend. Nick Ponting and Alex Deaton were 4th and 5th. The top 5 locked out by GTA class drivers. The top rookie was Sam Shrimpton once again in 6th position. Julian Wantling 7th. Shiv Sapra was 8th, but 2nd of the rookies, ahead of Peter Thompson and Paul Livesey to complete the top 10. Phil McGarty and Louis Darling were next. Darling did get to the checkered flag for the first time this weekend, and in doing so claimed 3rd place in the rookies. Ben Cook was next, ahead of Mike West and Robin Grimwood. Joe Edge, Lucy Hodgson, Alan Wright and Damien Duffy complete the 19 runners, so all 19 starters made it to the checkered flag in what was another entertaining race. The final race of the weekend for the Ginetta GT Academy saw Jamie Caudle start from pole position with Charlie Digby alongside. It looked like it might be James Nicholas who challenged for the lead into turn 1, but in fact it was Digby who swept right round the outside and managed to get alongside Caudle to immediately put pressure on the pole sitter. Caudle would lead for the first period of the race, but Digby made a late but committed and crucially clean move to the inside of the Melbourne hairpin, caught Caudle unawares and left Jamie to fight James Nicholas for second place. Robin Grimwood had a spin, exiting the old hairpin, but kept it out of the barriers just about and was able to continue on to finish in 15th place. The real highlight of the race, though, was this ding-dong battle between James Nicholas and Jamie Cordell. On 3 or 4 different occasions, they traded second place. It seemed that every time Nicholas got ahead, Cordell immediately had an answer. Julian Wantling and the eventual rookie class winner, Sam Shrimpton, banged doors at Redgate as Sam moved into 6th place overall. But it was Charlie Digby who came home a winner in race 3 of the weekend, his 2nd of the weekend at Donington Park, to claim the early championship lead heading to Silverstone.